Hey there YouTube, this is Amy at Hoppacha Creative, and I wanted to do a project share and tutorial today. This is a page out of my Diane Reevely visual journal. Please ignore my messy craft desk. And I worked on this last night. I had cut out these templates from homemade masks that I made, and these are really easy to do if you just look through a magazine and find images of. It can be people, I found trees, different shapes, buildings, things like that, and you just trace around them and make yourself a homemade mask or stencil. And this one I stamped and glimmer misted, and I decided to include her in a journal page about trusting yourself. And this journal page I used what I already have in my stash because I'm on a spending freeze I've mentioned before until April 11th, and want to kind of show too how much mileage pardon me, that I've gotten out of my gelatos. And I'm going to be using the gelatos today in a journal page that's going to be similar to this one in that I'm going to use another image that I created from a magazine mask, and what you're seeing down here is a mixture of gesso texture I stamped into the gesso and then painted it over with gelatos. Gelatos work a lot like watercolors, so they're water soluble. You can spray them, you can brush them with a wet brush. I also used a lot of Tim Holtz's distress inks in here and one of his distress stains. It was in Wild Honey, and that's the yellow color that you see around her body, and I also wanted to make her glow. And I'll probably do a similar thing with the other image. I used Viva Decor's Inca Gold in yellow gold to give her a glow. And this vine flower stamp, which I stamped all over, is from Michael's Recollections. I believe it was from a Valentine's set, and once I started stamping the vines, I just wanted more and more of them on the page. So I pulled out a bunch of stamps for today because I'm going to be doing a yoga themed art journal page, and I have already my little template, and it's another, like I said, magazine mask. My fingernails are filthy right now because I was working with black acrylic last night, and it usually takes a couple of days of washing to get it all the way out. So this is a yogini, a woman practicing yoga. She's in tree pose, and I stamped a script stamp on her, also glimmer misted, and used a little bit of Viva Decor Inca Gold in Violet to make a heart. And so I'm going to be using her on a new page similar to the way that I used this woman who's sitting and sort of looking out at the sky. So I will be back in a moment to start that page. And oh, by the way, I will be gessoing the page first and drying it, so you will see a gessoed and dried page when we come back. Okay? See you in a sec. Okay, so here I am at my gessoed and dried page, and you can either let it dry naturally or blast it with a heat gun. And I'm going in with Tim Holtz's Distress Stain and Wild Honey. I'm just going to create an area for my little figure to be pasted down. And I really like these daubers. This is the first one of these that I had bought, and once I'm done with this spending freeze, I do want to invest in more distress stains because I really enjoy these. What I was experimenting with last night was working with his distress ink pads in a similar way, just applying them directly to the page. And you can also use them as watercolors, and so I'm going to be showing you some of that as well. Serena B has a tutorial on how to make your own daubers, and I'm going to link that because it's also something that I want to try. It's just using bingo daubers from your dollar store. And I can't remember what kind of ink she puts in them. I don't know if she uses a re-inker or kind of does her own blend. But like I said, I'll definitely put that link in. Okay, so layering the color here, I can get a richer kind of marigold color. And if you depress the sponge part every so often, you'll get more color. And I also like how the distress stain is picking up a little bit of the texture that was already in the gesso. So you can see in there's some of those darker spots because of the texture. Now what I'm going to do is take a gloss gel. This is acrylic medium gloss gel. See if I'm in frame there. This is by Art Advantage. And I'm going to paste down my little figure here. The way I normally do this, I'm pretty liberal with the gloss gel. Just load it up on a paintbrush and start to go over the flip side of the image, if it's a picture or ephemera, whatever it is that you're pasting down. And you can even do it right on the page because that gloss gel is going to be on the page too, so it's okay if it gets a little messy. And I'm just going to place her right there, make sure she's good and steady, and then apply more gel on top. And this goes down white, but it will dry transparent. You can texturize a little bit with gloss gel too if you like. In this case, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to try to get it on evenly and smooth out the paint strokes. But it's fun to texturize with a clear gel too. There's some cool techniques that you can do with that. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty well blended in here. Just want to get some of those remaining paint strokes out of there. Okay, so the color palette that I have as far as the gelatos go, I just have 4 colors. I purchased them last fall, I believe. I have a purple, a coral, a mint green, and a blue. And you'll get a lot of mileage out of your gesso too, but your gelatos. I've used these quite a bit. And I think I'm going to go for, let's see, I'm kind of debating between these 2 colors, and I'm going to go for it's actually called metallic melon. I call it coral, and I'm just going to go in here and go around the edges of the distress stain. And this too, depending on how intense you want the color, you can be as liberal as you like, or you can go with a lighter hand because it's going to be blended in with water in a minute. And so if you go with a lighter hand, you'll just get a lighter wash. Okay, so I just need my water spray bottle. I'm kind of spraying away from the image because I don't want to hit the distress stain too much because it will react with water as well, and I like the color that it is right now, so I don't want to dilute it. Okay, so you can already see that the gelatos will start to feather a little bit on their own. I'm just going to let that water sit for a little while. And since there's some water sort of on the outside border here, I'm going to go in with the purple gelato. This one is called Metallic Grape. This is a nice deep purple. And again, like I said, because there's already some water on the paper, the gelato will just start to blend in with the water. And these are such a fun medium to work with. They're creamy and kind of a gel feel to them. And I like to just go in with my finger and start to blend out. And sort of getting a flower effect, like she's in the center of a flower, and I like that idea. Okay. And you can kind of just drag that color out as far as it will go. You see you get some nice different tones in there because the melon is blending in with the purple. Now last night when I was working with the Distress ink pads, I was inking over the surface and then taking away some of the color with a baby wipe, which is a really neat way to move around and subtract color and add texture back to the page. Today, I'm liking how this is coming out on its own, and I so far don't feel like it really needs the baby wipe. I do want to get color though all the way to the end of the page, and so I'm just going to lightly spritz. There's a real concentrated area of gelato right there that I can pull from and go all the way to the end of the page. And because I already played around a lot last night with that first page, this one's going a whole lot quicker because I already kind of have that final page, the vision of it in my mind. Okay, so you can either allow this to dry naturally or hit it with your heat gun. I'm going to hit it with my heat gun and I'll be right back. Really color happy right now. I'm happy with how well the gelatos blend in together, and I think it looks nice with the wild honey. So what I'm going to do now is do some stamping. I have a musical stamp here, and it's by Prima. I believe it's the Vintage Vanity collection. looks more violet. It is actually a violet color, but like I said, I think some of the metallic melon is blending in with that and making more of a bluish tone. And so what I'm going to do now is use a baby wipe technique, and I'm just going to kind of reactivate this one with a little bit of water because it's gotten a little bit dry. And I'm going to go in here and just very delicately take away some color. Okay, continuing to go around. And I notice as I'm going over the gelatos, it's actually bringing out the color a little bit more. That coral is really popping now. So where the wild honey is, I'm now just going to swirl around the baby wipe. And sort of swirl it in with the gelato, the wild honey. And you'll just get some really neat little texturized effects here doing this. And then I'm just going to go in and lightly tap, creating a little bit more interest. And I like how some of the water has bled out over here and sort of smeared some of the notes. In fact, I like that so well that I think I'm going to go in and just lightly spritz. And I'm using my spray bottle about 6 to 8 inches off the page so that it's just getting a nice fine mist. And I'm going to let that kind of soak into the paper. And it was a toss-up between hearts and butterflies to go around the yoga girl. I think the idea of taking flight, but also feeling a lot of love when you're doing yoga, they both apply. And since I already have this little heart on her, I think I'm going to do some more hearts. And I'm just going to use this little Michael's Recollection stamp. It's also from the Valentine's collection. And I'm going to pull a couple of distress inks. I'm going to be working with Broken China and Aged Mahogany. Now, because the stamp has a little sentiment on it, it says, "I adore you." I'm just going to see how clearly "I adore you" comes out and see how I like that. I may go over it with a brush so that it's just a solid heart. Okay, now going in with the Broken China. Really love that blue. It's coming out sort of a deep turquoise. And because the page is already a little damp, the distress ink is being activated with that water. Okay, so I'm going to stamp one more time. I've still got some ink on that one. Really push it in there. There are a couple more hearts. They're in different shapes. And these are also from Recollections. I think it was all the same package of Valentine's stamps. I just think it's neat to have different shaped hearts in here. Okay. And I have one more heart shape that I want to add, and I'm going to put away the broken china for now and bring out the aged mahogany. Switch out my stamp here. And this is a shorter, sort of rounder looking heart. And it does have some texture on it. It has kind of a scratched look on it. I don't know how clearly the scratch look is going to come out on the paper. I like those to look a little bit more defined, so I'm going to go over them. It still keeps that sort of vintage look though with Tim Holtz's ink. Okay. So the I Adore You did come out a little bit, and so I'm just going to go in there. This is just the same brush that I used for the gloss gel, and just blend that in so it just looks like a heart and there's no sentiment inside of it. And you can also use it just to sort of blend in the color a little bit better. As you can see, none of the hearts look the same. They all have their own little thing going on. Okay, so with the aged mahogany, not a whole lot of ink stamped down. So I'm just going to go in and shade those a little bit more so that the hearts are a little more defined. And then I'm going to sort of mix in a little bit of the aged mahogany with the turquoise or the broken china. It's the great thing when you buy coordinating color sets is that they all just really go nicely together. This one needs a little more filling in. Okay, so now I've allowed the music notes out here to dry some, and so I'm just going to go in again with my baby wipe and where it's a little more blotchy, I'm just going to sort of take away some of the black ink and help to blend some of the metallic grape into the paper a little bit more. Okay, and I may go back and add some additional elements to this page. I like how it's looking so far. I'm going to end the video here, but those are just some ideas of playing with Gelatos, distress inks, and adding your own little touches with stamps and cutout images. Just a few ideas for your art journal. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe if you like what you see. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Bye-bye.